Welcome to Fireteam Chat, IGN's Destiny show. Sean Finnegan is joining me today. So is Fran Mirabella.
Hello.
And thank
Guardians.
you for joining all of us. We're going to talk about the weapon tuning that's happening in Destiny.
Off to a great start.
Got it. Nailed it. So yeah, there's a bunch of little tweaks happening. And then we're going to talk about our overall impression of the April 12th update. Also, we're going to be live streaming April 12th at 10 a.m. on IGN.com. So be sure to check us out there. And of course, you can watch us on iOS, PS4, Xbox, anywhere you want. Just download the IGN app.
That's right.
Check us out there. Fran, you had a note.
I did. Last week, because we had so much to talk about, I didn't get to bring up the HUD, which is going away. And the fact that actually I was honored that Deej, mentioned me on the show because we had interviewed him in Germany asking about that. Trust me, I was not the only one that was asking because my plasma was getting burning from that bright yellow super bar that's there all the time. It kills your television. But also just for taking photos and doing like more cinematic stuff. So it's actually exciting. You can dim the HUD. You can bring it all the way off. Obviously, that introduces problems where it's telling you to do stuff and it may not be there. I didn't think about that. It's those little things that we overlook. But it was a really cool moment on the previous week's show of Bungie's stream. But the fact that they're bringing it back, I'm just excited about. And thank you for adding it, Bungie. There's more people than you know that you're making happy.
I think anybody that makes video on the internet is going to be really excited about this small tweak.
Oh, yeah. Think of all the new montage work and everything on day
possibly
one.
machinima work. We'll see.
Exactly. So it's going to be really exciting. Cool. Thank you.
All right. So right away, a bunch of weapons got changed.
So many weapon changes.
Let's start with you, Sean Finnegan. One of your favorite guns is getting adjusted.
Furious.
Let's sum up what it is, though.
All right.
So
change.
Yeah, go
no
ahead.
damage bonus is applied.
We're talking about the last word.
I thought I said the last word.
Yeah.
We were already yelling about it earlier.
Rubber, last word, rubber.
So basically what they say, in the 2.0, sorry, year 2 is what they mean. We reduced the effective range of the last word, but the hipfire accuracy and damage increased, provided by the last word perk. And they're pretty strong when they work together. So hipfire thing, we all know, we've run into those people just cruising around. We call it the easy button in my clan.
Please make a gif of that.
Yeah,
right.
please make that
Easy
gif.
button.
So
Try using it.
All they've said basically is, I do use it all the time because it became so easy. No damage bonus is applied from the last word perk. So that's the only change, but it's that
That's
damage.
a huge change.
Yeah, it's not as
So
OP.
what makes the last word awesome is it's this hip fire only close range gun, right? You're supposed to run around with it like a 6-shooter and fire it like you're a gunslinger.
You still can.
And the whole idea is that you get increased hip fire accuracy and bonus damage from the 2 perks that give it the last, that make it the last
You'll
word.
still have your hipfire accuracy. You just can't 2 or 3 shot people, whatever the number was.
Oh, cool.
It's
that
ridiculous.
makes the whole gun, the whole reason I use it, totally useless.
The whole reason everybody used it was because it became easy to use once you got a handle on where to aim.
Yeah, once you actually took the time to become skilled with the gun, you became good with it. What a newsflash. That's so dumb. I hate when people become too effective with something and then they nerf the gun as if it was the player's fault for getting good at it.
I hear you,
That's
but it's
so
not,
dumb.
It's not that. Yeah, it's not that hard to become skilled with it. It means using it and oops, I was aiming with it, which actually is way harder. I didn't know if you just did that it was easy.
GIF.
Yeah, I did it again for you. But no, legitimately,
not at all. That is such an oversimplification of how the gun is. There are people who I've played with for a long time who still just can't get a handle on the last word because of whether or not they're good with hand cannons or they just can't undo the sort of the habit of ADSing. It is not an easy thing to wrap your head around to not ADS with that gun and to get a handle on the range. Now, I would not contest the fact that back in the last Sword and Thorn days of year 1, that it was overpowered, but that was because of its range. It was so good from the hip and so powerful that you could 2-shot headshot people, but you could do it at range even, pretty far. So they nerfed the range, and I'm like, all right, that I can deal with. But now you're taking away again, remember when they nerfed the Wolfpack rounds on Gjallarhorn?
Yeah.
And it's like
why?
Why would you nerf what makes that thing special? That's exactly what they're doing here. They're nerfing what makes that gun special. And now it's like, well, why would I even use it?
I couldn't disagree more.
Would you have liked it more if they just kind of damaged the DPS of the weapon because it was overpowered?
No, because here's the thing is you really have to figure out what the problem is with that gun.
The problem is it's too effective. They need to normalize it with the rest of hand cannons. So what would be your solution? A better solution?
a better solution to nerfing the last word.
No. How do you? Let me just.
How
ask
do you
you
solve for the problem
There's an
where
important-
last word is the best gun in the game? It needs to be normalized.
I'm
It is not the best gun in the game.
I'm just
pistol.
curious.
It's the
though.
best gun in the game at 10 to 15 yards.
Okay. I'm very
Which
curious.
is so little of the game is actually played at that range.
What primaries do you use in the Crucible?
Last word and Red Death. And Mida.
You use 3 exotic weapons.
Yeah.
Why don't you use any other hand cannons?
Because
They
they're
suck.
not as effective.
They're not even nearly as effective.
I mean,
so how do you
I see
solve
people.
for that?
I see people using Thorn and stuff.
But so
And
isn't
it's
this
not my style.
the
I just can't
problem?
use a year one.
And so they showed the Mida graph, the Mida graph. I always get it wrong.
They're actually not
We'll talk about
touching
it.
Mida
A
multi-tool.
little bit. We'll talk about it. But
All they're doing is changing high caliber rounds.
Yes.
But it's
Mostly it's
damage is
untouched.
staying the same. Yeah.
But the point is, there's people that are like using these weapons because they are the most powerful by far.
Yeah, welcome to PvP. Like you
but-
can't just because you like a weapon doesn't mean that it should be as effective as other weapons. It's dumb. Like that's not how PvP works.
So you don't think the last word's too powerful?
I don't think the last word's too powerful. Just
do.
like I don't think that the Halo 1 pistol's too powerful. Why? Because everyone has the Halo 1 pistol.
Curious,
Yeah.
what do you think of 1,000-yard stare as a sniper? Do you
a pretty
use
good-
That's a
snipers?
good segue
Yeah.
to snipers, actually. So
Yeah.
I don't want to
That's
spend a
right.
whole episode
Yeah,
on
let's
the
do the
last
whole
word.
last-
Sean's upset
we know how we
about it.
feel.
Fran and I are kind of like, whatever, because we don't like the gun.
No, I
Total
do like the
BS.
gun.
I
I just
like
don't
it
want to be
too.
running
Yeah,
at
yeah.
someone at that range that's like medium range, and it's like you just get mowed down if you do not have that gun against them. It's insane. And Doctrine suffered some of the same issues.
Which they're actually
So-
working on Doctrine. But let's talk about
powerful.
sniper rifles right now.
Love the gun.
They addressed sniper rifles a little bit. People were basically using them as a replacement for shotguns because you could zoom in and double shot anybody. So what they did is they made it so the scope zooms in more, so they're more of a long-range weapon and not a close range. But there's one thing they didn't really address. So we know revives are going to take a little bit longer, so you can't run past somebody and revive them now. Secondarily, you're going to have less of an overshield, so it kind of
For resurrection, you
For
mean.
resurrection,
Like on Resurrection, you mean?
but yes, on resurrection. But they didn't fix res sniping. As a matter of fact, they made res sniping
More
effective because more sniper rifles can do it now. It's not just 1,000-yard stare.
Plus, they have lower overshield, which means the snipers that did low impact in the first place can still probably
They have
a
a
greater
chance to
one
shot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. Res sniping, it's a problem with the animation. Your animation in is like, I know where their head's
like,
going to be.
here's the thing: is like,
popped.
why
And
does it?
that
Why
should
does it
been
have to
addressed.
take so long to animate?
Yeah.
Like-
It's like, oh, I'm coming in. I've landed. Hi, snipe, dead.
And-
it's seriously like about a second and a half, which even for a bad sniper like me, I'm like, bang, you're dead.
Yeah.
You know, like I have all the time in the world to drop that player who just got res.
I do think it takes skill, especially in the clutch of trials. However, I hate res sniping. Most people know that. I've talked about it enough. But yeah, I don't know. It's like they ignored all of that and they made it even more available to people now.
Yeah.
They were like, people are complaining about res sniping. We must like balance it, and then they totally balance it in the wrong direction.
And I thought that's
Everyone can res snipe.
yeah,
now.
I did.
People love res sniping, right?
And that's what was interesting. Your suggestion is more what I was thinking. Is like, okay, I get that. Like, you got to bring someone out of.
Yeah.
You have to resurrect them, and so
It
there's
should
a moment.
be a two-shot.
But there's a moment of vulnerability. But how does that work? Because you have to balance it in a way that like you're also. I guess the point is, the more they
You
make
can one-shot anybody without an overshield, basically. That should stay standard. But for res, if you were just res,
was 2
you need
shots.
2 shots. Give them because of the animation problem, give them 3 seconds where it takes 2 shots to kill that person.
See,
But
I
how
don't
does
think.
that-
So I have a chance to survive.
So here's the thing. I
But up
still think
close.
you should. I still think you should be able to one shot. I still think you should be able to one shot someone on res. I just think that they should have a much smaller window to do it. Like
Yeah.
if you just increase
Res
the
should be like,
animation,
pop, go.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you just increase the animation by 50% in speed, it would be so much harder to
Yeah.
one shot people because people are already like countering it by bumping people after
Yeah.
they res, so that
Yeah.
it just like knocks people's aim off just by a fraction.
It's like,
if it
all right,
also
how do we
happened-
counter res sniping? Titan charge my teammate.
Yeah, if it also
Yeah.
happened just a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
But like I still think you should be able to reward players who are good enough to land that shot. It's just
Yeah.
right now the skill shot isn't high enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's too easy.
It is, yeah. It's super slow, and you stick like right at that frame at the top. There's that sticking point.
Yeah, you're
and
like,
that's you can't even do anything. Yeah.
So
You're like, well, I'm dead.
But
dead
remember,
again.
there's so many little things that go into this. If they change that, well, how about up close? Like how do you the fact that people are dying? I mean, it needs to be hard enough.
Just let me move. The moment that
But if they can get up faster when they're up close, they're less punished for dying. And so that's that balance they're trying to keep, right? With these slower animations.
But that's fine. If you're up close, what are you going to do? Shotgun someone, and that other teammate's
even
already
medium
there.
range. You have more bullets that are going to now.
Like Arab and Res bang immediately.
But even being in close vicinity with another person, that already changes the mechanics, right? Because that person's being rezzed by his teammate. So if your plan is to one-shot the rezzer, you still have to fight a 1v2.
And I agree with that.
Which is not how it is at the sniper.
And I agree with you on that. I'm just saying there's all these little things, in the same way, like I forgot if you take away the HUD, it's telling you to do stuff on screen. Although I only wanted to dim it.
That's your own damn fault. Like if you turn off the HUD and the HUD's telling you something, and you're like, well, I didn't know. It's because you turned off the HUD, you moron.
Yeah, I was just trying to use an example. There's always little things that you don't think about. But either way, what they've done, right, is they have, with reses, by the way, let's just go through the list really fast. They've reduced the interactive radius, right? So you have to be closer to do the res.
So if you have the quick res helmet, you can't run past and res somebody. You have to stop
which
for
is
a moment.
Awesome that they fixed that.
But with the run cooldown stupid thing, you're gonna have to walk up, start the res, then start running away.
No, there's a good chance you'll get one shot too.
That run cooldown is so dumb, and they need to get rid of it.
I can't tell you how much. Like that is one of the huge improvements in Halo versus Destiny. Is like there's no run cooldown. I can just sprint, stop, sprint, stop, sprint, stop.
It is annoying. I hate it as well.
Like why?
I don't know
why is it there?
Yeah. I can run for 14 days straight, but if I stop, I need to catch my breath. It doesn't make any sense.
They have increased the base time of Resurrect, so increased it by 0.25 seconds. So it's interesting that the base time is a little faster, but you have to be closer.
No, they increased
the base time by 0.25 seconds.
So it's longer.
Oh, the time is by... Yeah, that's right. I knew that. It's been a long day.
It's Friday.
Reprioritize the overshield so it takes precision damage modifiers previously it did not, which allows more sniper archetypes to get res kills. Yeah, so they recognize that.
Combined with the decreased overshield on res, which means now all snipers can one-shot you.
Yep. So that it takes, precision
I hope my
damage
extra solar
modifier.
can. I like it because I'm not very accurate, but I can two-shot anybody. So
yeah.
What they were saying about that is only a few PvE combatants deal precision damage in PvE. So aside from those exceptions, this only will affect PvP. Last few things: adjust resurrection invincibility frames so that the moment a player can move and take damage are more consistent in most networking conditions. So this obviously is a commentary on like what's going on with lag and all that. So I am curious to see if that has any improvement. I mean, this is where we kind of do need to play it before we make a full commentary.
They have to know about this resurrection animation thing being a problem, and I'm going to be really curious. They're not going to address it in Destiny 1, but in Destiny 2, they're going to do something about it, I think. There's no way they'd leave it, right? Yeah.
Crazier things have happened, right?
Yeah.
And the very last thing was, for the exotic resurrection time, Crest of Alpha Lupi and Light Beyond Nemesis, they've brought it down from 40%.
Increased by 57%. Just kidding.
It's brought down from 40% to 30%, so a slight reduction.
You can't run by it
in the resurrection time, but that's the distance. So this is actually just a little slower.
You can't literally run past somebody and res them, which was the whole reason you wore that helmet. Now you have to like run, stop, and then go, which is going to be a pain, especially for PvE. Like when you're in the raid and stuff, that was a really nice perk to have. I mean, if you're going to take that out, take out the sprint cooldown, whatever that is. Everybody hates the sprint cooldown.
Also, no more exotics. How about that, Bungie? Like,
what?
Why not just
exotics are too good. Just get rid of them.
Yeah, like just all the weapons that have something special. Maybe we just kind of get rid of them.
Stop it.
Yeah, I feel the same way anytime they touch a favorite exotic of mine.
I don't know. I don't mind weapon balancing, but I think there's a huge problem when you have to independently tune weapons within a sandbox for PvE and PvP. Like, I think that's so dumb. Like, we're talking about Thorn. Like, Thorn was also patched.
Yeah.
Did we talk about this? Like, what changed?
Briefly.
We're still coming up.
So, like, you can't
you
can't three body shot anybody anymore. Basically, it does less damage over time for a shorter period of time, and it marks a little bit less.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, so you can't follow their little damage trails
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
And it used to tick 6 times, and now it's down to 4. There's a
So
little less damage.
this is something that they already nerfed from year 1.
Yeah.
We're now in year 2, and it's still a year 1 weapon, and
Yeah.
they're still independently fine-tuning this weapon. That shows that you messed up the weapon somehow. Like,
Maybe they're going to bring it back.
and I think you have a point. Like, it was
I don't
fine
know,
in
it's just-
PvE, but not so fine in PvP.
Yeah.
Right?
Again,
they did
everyone
address,
has it,
they
so I
did
don't think it's
address-
broken.
They
It
did
is.
address why they do weapons across the board, not just PvE and PvP.
Well, they just
yeah, they mentioned that on the stream.
Yeah, they really just want to keep the. And I agree. Like, look, this is where game design. It's never as easy as you think it is on the other side. But
Yeah.
like, there's a language you understand mechanically when you throw a grenade, and if it behaves differently in 2 different environments. Yes, it can be done, but it is asking a lot from players, and you know what I mean. It's
Yeah, and
asking
that's
to
just-
adapt to higher levels of play, which I think some people are totally down for. But they're also, it's a tough choice, right?
it's the same grenade, though. Like, there's no logical reason it should function any differently without breaking the narrative.
No, but to use the example, if whatever the distance that you can throw a grenade in PvP is different than in PvE, it changes your understanding of how far you're going to chuck this thing.
Totally, but do you understand like why that would be such a stupid thing to implement?
To do what?
To make it different. Like, why, in what reality, other than the necessity of game design, would you say that you can throw a grenade further in PvP, but the same Guardian and the same grenade
No, you
can
wouldn't.
throw it less?
That's the point. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
They don't want Thorn to behave differently in PvE versus PvP.
Right.
I thought that's what you were saying.
That
They
is what I'm saying.
Oh, I thought you were.
Weapons and grenades should not be independently balanced in
Oh,
PvP
well, they're
and
not.
PvE.
They're not.
We're dangerously close to that.
But they specifically said they are not doing that. Sorry, I thought
Yeah.
you literally were saying you
No.
wanted them to change
No.
PvP because it's different and change the weapon behavior.
No, not at
Oh,
all.
that's what it sounded like you were saying, right, Dustin? I'm not alone on that.
Yeah. I think I miscommunicated what they were doing.
Gotcha.
They're if they balance it in PvP, it changes in PvE. So
No,
what you want
I'm not
is happening.
saying that's not what I didn't interpret it like that. My point was that I think that it's a problem that if that's what people are asking for in order to make weapons balanced for PvP. I think that shows a design I think that shows that your design philosophy for the gun, if that's the only way you can fix it, not that that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But if that's the only way you can fix it, then that shows that there's a problem with the gun, like inherently.
Yeah.
And I think it's weird that it just happens to be Thorn, which is a year 1 gun. And I get it, guns are PV, like
we used
normalized
it in Crimson
PvP.
doubles, but
We
You
get
know.
it, Sean. You love every
Yeah.
OP hand cannon. I understand.
No,
They've
it-
actually brought Hawkmoon back into the mix, which I
It's so
am
dumb
very
because
happy
it's like
about.
I don't know. I just don't think that. I think people are too quick to designate something as OP just because someone's good with it. Or
really-
people are
speaking
good
of
with it.
hand cannons that are going to be OP, Drake's Promise looks like a beast.
Yeah, well, a sidearm, but
Yeah.
it looks like one,
Yeah.
and might behave like one. I think that's what
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
getting.
It
at.
looks really, really good.
Yeah, people are now thinking like, okay, I'm going to go hand cannon Drake's
Yeah.
Promise. They've increased the projectiles track more aggressively. On fire, the targeting locks onto the enemy in your reticle. There's no beep. They mentioned you're not going to get an assistance with a sound, and the damage has been reduced 40%,
Oof.
and the rate of fire reduced to compensate. So it tracks better, but there is some damage change. Damage fall off has also been reduced to match the sidearm archetype. Range.
But I mean, it looks good. So that was a
Everyone
gun
thought
that
it looked good. That was what
everybody's
people were
like,
talking
ooh,
about.
that looks really interesting. And then
Nobody used it really. So
yeah, so now
it's good.
people might use it. Another archetype that's getting a massive overhaul, and I think they're going to become the king in the Crucible, and that is fusions. Fusion rifles.
Oh, I hope you're right.
They're going to be more stable. So if you got a good charge rate, that person's dead.
Yeah.
The
The changes specifically are fusion rifles are more stable across the board.
Yeah.
The maximum stability for a fusion rifle has not changed much, but the baseline minimum stability is much stronger. 40% recoil reduction. Yeah,
Wow.
that recoil was really bad in year 2. It actually, I'm a huge fan. Our video guy CJ's a huge fan. You couldn't even use Plan C anymore, hardly. And they say they linearly ramp up from there, that 40% recoil reduction. And then lastly, they fixed a bug where some outlying fusion rifle scopes had unintended increased zoom that was removed in year 2.
You're going to see a lot more fusion rifles, and the Crucible is basically
It is
the end of that story.
My favorite PvP type of weapon.
You like
it's
watching
so
people
much fun.
disintegrate?
Oh, I love the animation. I love the charge up, the sound. It's such a cool weapon, especially for this world. Like, a gun from, the 1800s, so to speak, like the last word that, meaning I love that. But in this world, like these fusions are very unique. And I love them. I've loved them from the outset, but I had to stop using them other than my Ash Ravens flight, which is from Iron Banner. If you get you really are going to still need the brace frame on any fusion rifle you get. But if you get brace frame, now especially you have more chance than ever. And they actually don't mention it in here, and maybe it comes from the stability change, but the beams, there was like 5 or 6 that kind of, the grouping, they really sucked as you were turning.
Yeah.
And the spread became really just a pain in the neck to use, really hard to predict. But it really looks like that's been fixed. So they're back, as far as I can tell. So I'm super excited.
Sean?
Any changes on the range for fusion rifles?
Not really.
They
I mean,
didn't
it'll
say
be
that.
based on weapon.
Because I really think range is what made them not that effective.
The stability will make them better at range. So you're going to be able to hit somebody from further away with more shots because it's going to be more stable.
Yeah.
They comment on that, right? They are optimal at mid-range, where targets are easier to track, but they're not close enough to attack while charging up, and that's the balance.
What's that AR they're changing also?
The Suros?
Not the Suros.
Doctrine?
Suros might be my new main. They're
Okay.
changing Doctrine, and Suros is getting a buff almost.
Right.
Just Suros?
Well, specifically, actually, auto rifle changes are pretty short. So for high rate of fire weapons, auto rifles, Doctrine of Passing and the Arminius D, if you remember, have a 2.5% reduction in base damage. So it hopefully brings that, bullet hose, they call it, down just a little bit, because it was brutal close up.
The Trials AR isn't going to be the king of ARs anymore.
Yeah, I had 2 trial or 3.
It's going to be more in line with Suros.
I had
king of ARs.
three
right now.
Oh, Doctrine is the
No,
king
I
of
just think that
ARs.
that's such a funny thing to say, because who
It's like-
uses AR?
It's
Everyone
Doctrine.
uses Doctrine.
Doctrine's
No one.
like king in
No
Crucible
one.
right now. Doctrine and
You
Mida.
You're
PS
so on last word, dude. You
Doctrine
need to
and
get off.
Mida.
PS4 players, man. It's different over on Xbox.
I don't
Doctrine
know
and
why.
Mida, dude.
Doctrine is a beast. Anyway, it honestly, it had to be nerfed. It was in the same way that last word was too powerful. It had to be brought down. It's 2.5% reduction, so we'll see. It's still powerful. That's high rate of fire. On the low rate of fire, Suros Regime, an answering chord, Anguish of Dristan, which is the the King's Fall raid drop. It's a 2.3% increase in base damage because, if you use those, they just were not doing the job. So hopefully, autos are just getting a little more tuned, not massive changes. But I like using auto rifles. I think they're
They're still my favorite
a gun
weapon
for
type.
everybody.
I think it's going to be Suros. Whatever legendary fusion comes out on top will be in your weapon archetype. So you're still going to have a sniper, but fusions are going to be a viable secondary.
But that's special. You're special.
Yeah, special. And for heavy machine guns, are still going to be great. As a matter of fact, the raid machine gun is getting faster reload.
Quillums.
Yeah, the Quillum's getting faster reload and more stability.
They nerfed the mag, though, because people were going on
more stability
tears.
on Quillums? That thing was already so stable.
That's fine. I already used Runewake, and it's a freaking beast.
Yeah, Runewake's crazy.
Heavies are awesome if you know how to use them. The issue is that people would get so much in the mag of a gun like Quillum's, and they would be on a tear for like 5 minutes because it was so powerful at range. And that's what they're fixing. Like, honestly, it was crazy if you could stay alive with one.
They massively changed Warlocks. We're down to the last 10 minutes of the show, so I definitely want to talk about Warlock changes.
Real quick, though.
Basically, you can't pop lightning and just use it for the whole game anymore, friends. Sorry.
Yeah, the Storm Trance.
Yeah.
No, I actually didn't use Storm Trance in PvP. I didn't use it. I loved
It's
it
like
in
once you
PvP.
pop it, it's like, well, the
PvE.
game's over because that Warlock can't be killed.
It was Transcendence linked with something else. I think those were the names. And when you linked all that up, that's when you saw those like Warlocks just like, and you'd die, you'd get killed again. You'd be like, they're still going? This is insane. It was way too long. So they fixed that. They've also fixed the landfall effect, which landfall's still there, and you have to wear the impossible machines, the exotic to get that. But it was blinding you like completely in a group when they dropped it, and it was way too powerful on impact. So you had it was just way too OP. So they fixed those two things. I think those were smart. They did not fix
Firebolt.
a Firebolt plus Viking Funeral, and that's that additional burn similar to the Thorn problem. And they talked about how
A little bit less of an overshield on punchies.
and Flame Shield exactly is not You can't get it as frequently, I believe. But yeah, you're not going to be able to get Flame Shield as much to get you out of trouble, which, by the way, I used to use all the time. I mean, if you're in trouble,
that's the most annoying thing ever.
That's basically how I use my Warlock. Punch you, grenade.
Yeah,
okay,
totally.
I missed that. I'll shoot.
Yeah, and they were too OP, but they actually, I think they're admitting Viking Funeral and Firebolt, which, by the way, if you wear the Void Fang, the exotic chest piece that gives you a new grenade after each death, it's crazy. Teams of Warlocks can still come in with 3 Firebolts and hit one. I mean, you're down just with a quick toss, and if they die, they can come right back at you.
Yeah.
And that is still going to be there, but hopefully the Flame Shield balances and some of this other stuff. It won't be terrible. Don't do that. That's as bad as Bubble Brothers, by the way. Don't be Viking Funeral Bros.
Oh, and you can't pop Titan
strats.
Bubbles now with lightning.
Oh yeah, that was also a thing you can't pop.
Yeah, so that's great. Just one less way to deal with Bubble Bros.
So in these, I was surprised.
Bubble has always been underpowered though in PvP.
Yeah, I mean it's a way to cap a point, really.
Yeah.
You know, or just protect your team.
It's awesome in like Iron Banner Control.
Yeah.
And others, like it really is OP in certain modes. Trials, if you
Trials,
use
it's
like
good.
3 of them.
It's so.
It's
I mean,
crazy.
I'd say it's a stretch. To call it good. I'd say it's situationally like applicable, like you said, capping a point or something like that.
It's honestly, it's very OP in Control. If a team has a bubble and you don't, you're in big trouble.
The problem is like it generates on popping a bubble, you generate 2 orbs. 2. Warlocks, like with their Sunsinger, can generate up to 8. Same with Hunters, like.
Well, if people shoot your bubble, though, you generate more.
Sunsinger takes a while.
If you have something spec, if you have Iron Harvest.
Yeah.
But that's not, most people don't use that because you use Warden of Dawn, which increases the duration. Yeah. It's just, I don't know.
It's situational, like you said.
It's super situational.
Let's talk about this, though. Why didn't, you guys, I'm curious to see how you react. Why did Shade Step not get touched and fixed?
Shade Step is, oh my God.
And why did the Shoulder Titan Charge not get fixed? I hate that thing so much. It's insanely powerful.
Shoulder Charge.
You literally see any noob just, they're placing a bet and like, and they're rolling with a shoddy too, by the way. Shocker.
Shade Step's ridiculous. People are just like jumping all over the place. It's almost as bad as Blink.
Yeah. Shade Step, because you're immune in those frames. And then there's still that bug where if you tap, on PlayStation 4, the touchpad in the middle of it, you can get out of it, so you don't have to do the full
Now
animation.
we're seeing Titans with that exotic kind of do the same thing, where they jump literally side to side. They strafe, basically. I don't remember the name of the exotic.
So I was surprised that Warlocks kind of got a brunt. Here's my guess. They don't want to touch too much at once. And in the spirit of testing things, I'm sure they were like, we really should fix it. But you know what? Let's not, because once you change too much at once, right, your experiment of what's changing things is sort of ruined. You don't know what
you have no more control group.
So my guess is, they are changing one class. It's the first class because it was the most talked. Stormtrance, honestly, if I had to choose, definitely the best one to start with. I couldn't agree. But they need to work on this other stuff, absolutely.
So finally, I just want to talk about this in the last 5 minutes of the show. Our overall take on the April update coming on the 12th. We're getting 2 strikes, the Prison of Elders update, and a new pass to 335 Light. What's our overall take? Fran, it looks like you have one more note.
I did. I know that was a perfect segue, Destin. But we should mention, actually, I was remembering with Icebreaker and the sidearm changes, those are huge. So no longer, using Icebreaker or sidearms to charge up your ammo reserves for other weapons was not intended. And so you're not going to be able to do that anymore, basically. So that was all. And then they touched Icebreaker up a little bit, so it's not going to be as crazy as it was. In fact, the change was that they're increasing the zoom more, right? Which they're doing on all snipers to make it you have to be more long range. They're reducing the handling stat to the lowest value for sniper rifles for Icebreaker, and they reduced the target acquisition by 25%. That's actually really big. And like that was what I was just talking about. They call it death swapping in PvP. No longer allows ammo to persist between those two, which is awesome.
Is that only Icebreaker for the death swapping?
Oh, and we missed. Sorry, this is what I was getting at. We missed the fact that the whole like first round special's not there. Is totally you have special now, but they've reduced the amount in certain mags. They've changed this that you're not swapping on death. So it's just there's going to be special. There's going to be less ammo crates, and that was the same for heavy. There's one heavy around now.
Is that for all special ammo? Like if I go into a match and I have a sniper, I'm like, oh, this is a shotgun map. If I die and I switch to shotgun, I just have no ammo?
No.
Can I just swap and retain my ammo?
So that I'm not sure when it's the same like archetype, you mean?
Like if I just have a sniper equipped and I'm like, oh, this is a shotgun map, so I switch to my shotgun, do I lose all my ammo now no matter when I do it? Because
I don't know how
that was
handled
that was actually really nice because like, oh, I got my special. Oh man, this is a shotgun map. My bad.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, let's put it that way. We know still, right, if you swapped weapon types while you were alive, you'd lose your ammo.
It's just gone.
And so my guess is, it's going to behave that way on death now.
Well, that sucks.
It does suck, but bigger than that, if you can do
Gotta
it
go in prepped, I guess.
If you can do it in death, like, why can you not just do it while you're out in the field, right?
Yeah,
like,
that was a design philosophy from Vanilla, though. Vanilla Destiny. Like, year one, they're like, oh, we don't want you hiding behind a rock and switching your weapons.
It is
like,
confirmed here,
well,
actually, yeah. Swapping special weapons in PvP now completely removes special ammo until more is found on the map. So that's a risk you take.
You got to go in prepped.
Yeah, make sure you're on the right gun.
What about those multiplayer matches where you fly in and you're like, I don't know what map this is, and then you're in and you're like, well, I have my special, but it's sniper and this is a close quarters.
I cannot agree more.
Yeah. Just let me switch my weapon. Who cares?
To be fair, though, they don't say for sure on death that between the same archetypes or whatever. But in general, they say if you switch, you're in trouble.
I don't get. Maybe you guys can enlighten me.
What is the deal?
What is the deal with that?
Why is it such a problem that if I go in with a sniper and I want to use a shotgun instead, if I switch, who cares?
I'm sure. I think they're trying to control people creating like combo type play, maybe, right? Like you.
If I have to go in my menu and like you go into your menu, you're vulnerable.
It's not an easy thing
But the point is, I think they're saying
weapons,
if you are a sniper and you're sniping, but you want to, I don't know, for some reason,
all right, I'm going to the course. Oh, they don't want you hopping in your menus over and over.
I don't
again.
understand it. I'm just trying to like understand, like take a guess.
I don't know.
But
I feel like
I would prefer you could.
We spent a lot of time on this.
I know.
We definitely. I just want to get your guys' take before we have to go. What do you think overall of the update?
I think it's cool.
Sorry,
you're not interrupting at all. I think it's cool. I mean, I like that it's giving us a lot to talk about. Like, I love these periods in Destiny when like a bunch of stuff gets changed, and now you have to go back into the same sandbox with your friends and figure out what is effective and what is not. Like, I love that, and just the fact that we've had this spirited debate amongst ourselves right here on the show shows like enough has changed to where people are going to have to like refigure things out and figure out what the most efficient way forward is. So that's super cool. Time will tell if it's enough to get us through all the way to September or whenever they decide to do the big DLC.
It's a month. It's a month of content. But one thing that I've been doing that's been kind of fun is a few days ago I popped on my year one Iron Banner full set.
Nice.
And I used all my year one like favorite weapons like Praetus and Gallahorn and stuff. And we went into year one PvP maps, and me and a few of my friends, we were just wrecking people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, happy birthday, Gilligan, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Gilligan the Rex?
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. She's someone that we play with sometimes. So I'm trying to like think what I'm going to respond to this. So stuff I like. Yes, I like that they're actually rebalancing things and changing things. There's people who say, don't change things, don't touch it. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Well, it is broken. It's always going to be broken. It's hard to balance this many things. But yeah, it could be totally busted. We had the same conversation before year two. Like, what's this going to mean? But I like that it's changing. It makes us go back and play and figure things out. I do like that. That's a good point, Sean.
Yeah.
I like that, you can now infuse, and there's no more of this crazy math.
I like they're bringing back year one weapons. I think some of those might be interesting in the Crucible.
I like that smart loot, I believe, is dropping at the level or above that you're at, so you're not going to run into any more of this low-level drop stuff. Like, it will only push you up. So they really have thought about light level.
I like the infusion. That's a big improvement.
I like that you triggered my thought, which is like, I can actually now really, I think, go back and wear, well, if it's in year two, but I can put together an ensemble that I want to use very easily without, I need to find another chess piece, this or that. It's like, you know what, I'm going to swap and get rid of my old one. Yeah. So I think you're going to find a lot better looking or more put together characters. Like, it was a hodgepodge because of the way it was set up.
I have all raid gear because that's 320, and I only have one, so I don't want to infuse.
And obviously, I like that there is actually new, like, year one weaponry being brought back, et cetera, et cetera. And the short list of what I don't like is, the vault is just, I don't know.
More vault
it's like,
space.
Wait, you could have always added a third page, basically, and you didn't? Something's going on here.
Just make a page with legendaries that you can buy for Glimmer.
Blueprints or whatever.
Blueprints, like, why not?
I don't get it. So
you've done it with everything else in the game, basically. Like, I don't understand what the holdup is, really. Again, I'd love to hear that answer.
It is one of the biggest problems. I waste so much time managing Vault and Postmaster. It's insane. It's really stupid, and I hate that they have not addressed that at all.
And if it's too many weapons, at least just do raid gear.
Yeah. And other than that, I don't like that there just doesn't seem right now that there's enough content behind, other than like this Prison of Elders and Challenge of Elders mode. Like
the strikes will be fun the first time I play through them, and then I've done them.
But it's not like there's like all these new weapons and strikes. There's like a couple strikes and like this new Taken. So really turning some of these bosses you've already faced in the Taken. It's an old gameplay design trick. And so it's going to be fun for about a month. Fun. I do. Legitimately. Like, lots to figure out, lots to do if you play Destiny. You're going to burn through the content pretty fast, and now you're left chasing weapons. That's really, or gear. It's really the main reason that people continue to play. You want to collect everything. You want to get Shadow Price back or whatever. Is Shadow Price coming back? That? Yeah. So stuff like that. It's like, I never got Shadow Price. Now I'm going to be chasing it. But
I still have my year 1 version, which you can delete because...
But I'm going to be playing the same stuff over and over, right? And that's where it becomes a grind. So unfortunately, I think that's going to be mostly it until September. Maybe get a few SRL maps, maybe some slight tweaks.
That would be great.
We will.
SRL.
We know that we will. SRL. So
I like SRL.
Me too. So they're holding on to some of that, but it really is the most substantial update we've had in year 2. It really is when you think about it. So I'm happy with that.
That's our take. You're going to find out more on April 12th when we start streaming on IGN.com live, 10 a.m. Pacific. Be sure to tune in if you like Destiny, of course.
Why are you still listening if you don't like Destiny? I was just
right
in. Tell us if you're listening now and you actually hate the game.
People who hate this game still listen to this show.
Exactly.
People still play this game.
People still. Yeah, sorry.
Anyway, thanks for coming on the show yet again, you guys. I'm glad
You're
we all
welcome.
still play.
Yeah,
totally. We're looking forward to April 12th.
Yeah, and go read the tuning updates. You saw us trying to cram in all the details. There's so much changing.
Ton of info.
But actually, if you're not that big of a nerd, just go play the game and start using the weapons again when it's out April 12th. So.
Yeah, definitely.
And better yet, go try Last Word before they nerf it and tell me it's not hard to use. It's hard to use.
Yeah. All right. That's it for this show. Until next time,
Guardians out.